to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. As a reminder, if you're in attendance tonight, the emergency exits are to my right, your left, and to the back of the room. In the event of emergency, please don't use the elevators. If you are unable to use the stairs, please stay seated and someone will help you. I'd like to have the commissioners introduce themselves from right to left.
Hi, I'm Catherine Arbor.
Christopher Morlock.
Jay Hildreth.
Eileen Chabot. Val Connolly. Elizabeth Carver, land manager.
And I'm Rick Metz, the vice chair. I'd like to welcome Catherine Arbor tonight to her first meeting. She is now our final alternate, so we have a full board tonight. And Cheryl, come on in.
Thank you.
And Cheryl Holbert is in attendance as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Pam, would you sit tonight for Bob? And Jay, I know you have to sit for somebody. Or Christopher, you have to sit for somebody. So would you sit tonight as a voting member?
Yes.
All right. So we're good. 7. All right. Next, I'd like a motion for approval of the minutes from June 3rd, 2026. Everybody has them in front of you. Take a minute if you have any corrections. I have a couple simple ones. Bob Spurl is mentioned twice in attendance. I think there was only one of them here. And on the last page, my name has a couple extra E's in some spots.
Yeah.
So if that's all we had to worry about,
Right.
it's not a big deal.
Really good, right?
Yep. First 2 spots on that. Any other additions, corrections? Okay, I'll entertain a motion, please. I'm the one that usually makes the motions.
Yeah.
Someone else has to help me here.
Motion to approve.
Move to approve, second.
Second.
Second by Chris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Okay.
Any abstentions? Hearing none, unanimous. I have a few things here. We've got a reminder from CELT that the Karis, Corneliuson, and Doolittle property in Shepherd Park have been protected for a total of 26 years. Pass that to the left. We have a DES notification for property on 122 Hampstead Road, alleged violation. And that letter we'll talk about in non-public. Pass that to Cheryl. So, Val Connolly, up with the new commissioner handbook. Go ahead.
Okay. So unfortunately, I did not bring my laptop. I'm running a little frazzled today, so I'm sorry about that. But I did kind of get a chance to put a glimpse of it up last time and kind of scroll through it. I think that was that, or the mission and the vision that were also included there. But I know that everyone each had gotten a copy in the via email, or so I know it's a lot to kind of look at. It was pretty intensive, I'd say, but still at that stage, very generic. I know Eileen had given me some soft pointers right now to make sure to help get it tailored directly to kind of the operations of dairy and things like that. And I'm looking forward to getting any further insight when you guys do have a chance to review. I know it is a lot. Catherine, I'll get your email and I'll make sure you get a copy as well, because that would be another great perspective coming from a new member. So,
Thank you.
yeah, a big portion of it, which I thought was great, especially coming at, I mean, I'm not a new member anymore. I mean, we're fairly new, but a lot of it kind of goes over the subcommittees, the roles of the chairs of those committees, just so kind of give an idea rather than just starting day one and they're saying, hey, what committee do you want to go on? You know, you kind of get a chance to explore, maybe attend a few is kind of like something that I'm hoping to maybe establish or provide to the commission for, you know, like a living document as like a set guidance and rules. Of course, we do have things, and there was a prefatory statement where I kind of tried to say, you know, hey, obviously our like duties and things are and limitations are outlined in law and regulation and things like that, but I kind of wanted to have something that kind of compiled some of those resources. Another thing I included in there were links to some of these RSAs and things. I thought that was really helpful to be able to just read it word for word, section by section, and kind of understand rather than just going off of a translated description. The NHACC handbooks are wonderful and they're great. Going through them gave a lot of great ideas and kind of a background as to conservation commissions as a whole, but I was really hoping, like I was saying, telling Eileen to tailor it to dairy. So I'm looking to what we do specifically in dairy and the kind of ways that we interact in different, you know. So if anyone had a chance to take a peek at it, I would love to hear any thoughts, a criticism, to throw it all my way. I want to make sure it's a living document. We all get a, you know, piece of it and continued.
Val, if you would find it helpful, I can bring it up if you would like to.
You have the
I have it right
the
here.
document?
Do you
Okay.
want it? Do you want to bring it up on the screen?
Yeah, sure. That would,
okay.
if that's
We'll do
okay.
that right now.
You know, I know Catherine hasn't seen it yet.
You've got time.
You're amazing. Thank you.
You're amazing. You did it. I'm just looking up your email.
Yeah, so I think right at that point when I sent it out, it was like 74 pages. So that was something else, is I was hoping to maybe condense it a little bit. Granted, you know, there's a lot that we do and there's a lot we have to, you know, cover. But the NHACC handbook really is a great resource, and I don't want to reinvent the wheel kind of thing. So I was trying to have them side by side and kind of, you know, translate into dairy. But of course, you know, I'm still a fairly new commissioner, so even the things that are said, you know, the first 90 days, I don't know if anyone saw that part, but it was like, one of them was understanding the flow of conservation funds, or how that works and where that comes from. And then I was like, I don't know how to do that. Maybe not every commissioner needs to know how to do that and by 90 days, or like, it was like, learn it 90 days forward, you know, some stuff like that where I was like,
Just tweak it.
yeah. Sorry, I'm rambling. My brain is all over the place.
Just if
Oh,
there's,
yeah.
Yeah, if there's a particular place
So-
that you want to go, just let me know.
This was just something I worked with my dad to get this in there, just to really make sure, you know, hey, this is just a guidance document, a living document. Obviously, there are laws. I feel like that was important. If we were going to kind of consider this as a resource to the commission, I thought that was an important piece.
Yeah. So to summarize, this page would just be that this is a reference handbook.
Yes,
only,
this is a
not- yeah.
reference companion handbook to regular already outlined statutes and the provided NHACC handbook.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is kind of, the flow of this I did follow from the NHACC handbook a little bit, but thinking about how to use the guide and also some introductory sections here on the commission within a municipal framework, kind of understanding where we sit, you know, where, that was kind of part of the thing, that where some funds come from, but also we interact with other commissions. We have to work with different departments and stuff, especially for like monitoring. We're pulling up documents and things. Yeah, I wish I had this sign in front of me. These are also some things I thought were important. Community building through conservation. That's something that I feel like we've really been trying to ramp up doing. You know, we've been reaching out through social media. People are coming to these events. People are connecting. I met someone, what was his name? Tim on the Heritage Commission. Lovely man. I'm going to go see him on a Wednesday, some night at the museum. Things like that. And also just highlighting interdisciplinary skills, shared responsibility. You know, we have some conservation commissioners here who have backgrounds, you know, forest and lands, things like that. You know, but some of us don't have those backgrounds, but the skills that we bring to the table, even just being a part of our community and having a respect for the things that we protect, you know, just highlighting that that's an important piece. And it's something that I thought was a welcoming acknowledgement to commissioners who might be feeling a little unsettled or uneasy coming into something. Oh yeah, and these were those drafts, the mission and guiding statements that we read last time.
And we're planning on reviewing those in more depth at a future meeting.
Yes, thank you, Beth. I thought this section was helpful. I know sometimes, it can be a little gray area if, like your neighbor is getting involved and they have to go through these things. So it's kind of outlining some ideas of conflict of interest and, just acting as we should. We're protectors of the town's land. We have these responsibilities and these goals, and we're going to, stick to them, that kind of thing. More of that stuff.
Yeah, that's all that, right?
Yeah. This was that first 90 days section that I was mentioning. But this was really general. I did use some other, I was looking at some of our neighboring commissions and then maybe some further ones too in their guidebooks and some things that they reach out to their commissioners about. Again, we can definitely change all of this. And going further, I thought it was pretty nice, the time commitment expectations. We are all volunteers, and it's great that we want to get involved. I think that's something that people are worried that they might not have enough time, but some of these things, some of the roles, some of the ways that we can contribute and show up, it doesn't have to be a full-time job kind of thing, just outlining where they may be able to get involved with the time that they have. And the flux of the seasonal periods also I thought was important.
Do we, does anybody from those,
Yeah.
Want to comment on the hours or anything like that, as far as like what your experience has been on those different committees?
Myself personally, reporting compliance, 1 to 2 hours, I was considering on the ground, monitoring, and I think it's something that's important considering passing a torch on. The next reporting compliance commissioner should maybe have a little bit more time to familiarize themselves with the documents. Don't just allot 1 to 2 hours a month to looking at documents.
Maybe like a startup,
Yeah.
a startup
Yeah.
time commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it right for the community garden. 8 to 12 hours during seasonal startup and shutdown.
Yeah. Startup period, I like that. Yeah, if anyone has looked at this or sees something, just flag it out. This is just going into officers and personnel. They're really just describing, what they do. And again, I would love to have perspective and insight from actual officers in Derry who have experience. This is really general. And just kind of how they interact and where they can support each other. Other things I had gone into. I think later on at another point, oh my God, 90 pages, holy cow. At another point, I basically included cover letters or the job descriptions for, officers as well as chairs of committees. And I had a section also just for alternates. I thought that was really nice to kind of, I'm an alternate, I'm not chairing a board, how can I support, where do I fit in, sitting in on voting for people who are absent, things like that. I think that's later on. It's 90 pages.
Yeah. So, alternate.
Could go through the whole thing.
Yeah, we don't have to go through the
Yeah, I know. I'm
whole
sorry.
thing.
Tell me.
Our audience here is going to become commissioners totally by the end of this.
I'm curious to hear from Eileen where she thought there were opportunities for dairy specific things. I guess if I don't know if you had those things in mind.
She just mentioned it as a general, where she was reading those beginning statements. That's good. We got to really nitpick this to make sure.
I think there's ways to really, kind of tailor it to us.
Yeah.
And so I will provide those comments.
It's a huge document. Yeah,
Not spend a lot of time on the computer right now.
that's fair.
Do you want to just ask for feedback, or rather than going through all of these then, or I can keep? You tell me. I can keep scrolling. I love the land manager section.
This this draft, did you see it? Beth is so much behind.
Okay, so
Yeah, so this file was a draft, so everyone
yeah.
can
So
see
Beth,
this.
you'll have
Beth is
input into
amazing.
yeah, I can fill that part out. Yeah. Okay.
We don't have to go through this whole thing. I know, I feel like we've already spent a good chunk of time on it. This is something that I hope for next meeting to maybe get some physical copies handed out, especially,
Yeah.
setting on the computer might be hard. It
Okay.
might be nice to handwrite these things.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, I did not expect you to have printed out 90 pages for yourselves. But we snuck it in at the end of last meeting too. That was really exciting. But yeah, this is just something that I thought was really nice. We're really ramping up speed, and I think it's really important for us as being those people, being that catalyst, getting this commission going to lay a foundation. That way, time passes on and new people come through, and
Right.
we don't want to leave them trying to, follow in big footsteps kind of thing. We want to keep that going forward. Exactly, yeah.
Totally appreciate your effort.
I really
thank you.
appreciate all you've done, and I think it's a great effort, and I think it's very worthwhile. And we have done so many wonderful things since Beth came on board, and Val and other members that have come on board, Jay. I think we're moving in a really positive direction. We've got a lot of great things cooking right now, and we can even further those with this handbook if we, all dig in and pay attention to it and use it as a tool, because I think it could be a really positive, good tool moving forward.
Thanks, Eileen.
Awesome.
Anybody else? Well done, Val. Thank you. Thanks for your effort. Appreciate
I'll
it.
get you a copy.
Hopefully I don't break it this time.
You're up next.
Thank you, Beth, for your help with that.
I am, right.
Oh, yeah.
Did I break it?
We'll let you assume your...
Sorry. What I did what I was supposed to do. Sorry, Ellen. Okay. So, review of the BioBlitz. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was really awesome. So, first of all, thank you to the NHACC and for funding this with the grant that they got and offering this opportunity, for us to apply to do this. And thank you to Moosewood Ecological, Stephen Lamond, for hosting it. He was an incredible host. Everybody who attended just gave rave reviews of, how interactive he was, how much knowledge he had, how just what a good host he was. So that was really, really great. We had about 30 people attending throughout the day over the course of the four different guided tours that they could take. And Stephen said that was, I'm so sorry that I broke it again. I have to turn this off so that I am not distracted by the flashing. So he said that this was the best attended BioBlitz that he's ever been to, or that he's ever helped to host. So that was extremely encouraging, because we did really try to, advertise this and get the community out for it. And it was just very encouraging that, one, we had a beautiful day. So it was a great day for it, and I'm sure that helped, and that people showed up for it. So thank you to all the community members who showed up. You showing up just made the day. We did have a sign-in sheet that asked, how did you hear about it? And the responses included Facebook, a letter that we mailed to the abutters, the nature groupie email list, the Barbara from NHACC sent an email out to other Conservation Commission members. A lot of people actually heard about it just from our meeting, from watching the Derry Conservation Commission meeting, so that's encouraging also. I sent an email out to the community gardeners, and we had a few community gardeners show up, and it was in the Derry News as well. So the Derry News picked up on it, and a few people found out about it through the Derry News. I'm so sorry. I'll have to ask them if there's something that I'm doing wrong so I don't do it again. Sorry. And a lot of, so the highest, the thing that brought the most people there was you all inviting them, right? So it was from just word of mouth, from either someone who found out, about it through another avenue and invited a friend, or from, commissioners inviting people, or, so you had like your friends and family showed up, and that was great also. And I can't forget, the poster at the kiosk also was another way that we tried to get the word out, and that was another way that people said they found out about it. And a couple people who were just walking by, very encouraging conversations with them, that they would like to get involved in future things like this, that they couldn't necessarily stay for the day, but that they would like to volunteer for future things. And we sent an email out to everybody who signed up and everybody who signed in. So not everybody who signed up signed in, and not everybody who signed in signed up. So everybody, it went out to about 50 people, just a thank you for attending the BioBlitz, even if they didn't necessarily, come and sign in or like for sure attend, but we just sent a thank you for attending, and would you like to hear about future, or would you not like to, it was phrased, would you not like to hear about future events? And we didn't get any responses back saying that they would not like to hear about future events. So we'll be able to reach out to them about our future things. Because it was such a nice day, DerryCAM was able to attend. So thank you, DerryCAM. They were there and they got some great footage. We're really excited to be able to see it and see what they do with it. They did some interviews of people who came. I gave an interview. I know Stephen had an interview as well. So that's great. And then Stephen I'm going to send this around for you all to look at your leisure. But Stephen sent a report just earlier this morning, highlighting, some different things throughout the day. So one was, prior to the event, 25 contributors had submitted 1,168 iNaturalist observation, representing 329 species at the property. And during the BioBlitz, 16 participants recorded 735 observations in just 9 hours, an average of more than one observation every minute. And these efforts increased the total number of observations for Broadview Farm by 63%. So now there are 543 species that have been documented at Broadview. So that's very exciting. Yeah. And he noted that one of the most frequently documented species was the Baltimore checker spot butterfly, and that Broadview Farm has become one of the premier locations in Rockingham County to observe them. So that's also, a good thing that came out of this. There were 5 wildlife species of greatest conservation need as identified in New Hampshire's 2025 State Wildlife Action Plan. So those are the monarch butterfly, common grackle, tree swallow, American kestrel, and wood thrush. And then he gave us a list here of some invertebrates that have only ever been documented at fewer than 10 other locations in New Hampshire. So these are not rare necessarily, but they're not, they're not going to be found everywhere. So, and I believe there was one more thing from his letter that I wanted to, nope, yep, that was it. So that's, that's kind of his update after the fact. So he's had a chance to go through all of that data. And we have a follow-up for the BioBlitz scheduled for, we have 2 follow-ups. So on August 22nd, a Saturday, we the Land Maintenance Committee will be updating the Broadview kiosk. So we'll be taking some of the information that was gained from this BioBlitz, as well as some of the history and some other things. We'll have a visioning session of what that exactly will look like, but we'll update the kiosk at Broadview, which is relatively bare right now. So there'll be lots of interesting things for people to look at when, certainly include things about the community garden and, everything like that. And that's August 22nd. And then on September 18th at 4 p.m., Matt Tarr with the UNH Extension will be giving a guided hike at Broadview. And so that will be kind of another follow-up at Broadview to this event. So that is all for the BioBlitz recap.
Thank you, Beth. I appreciate your efforts for that.
Yes.
Thanks to DerryCAM also for being there to document it. They'll be going through the footage and posting some of the things that happened that day. And thanks to any commissioners who were able to, able to be there that day as well. Thank you again, Beth. Jay, Community Garden.
Oh, I'm in my glory right now. Yeah, all those 8 to 12 hours in the spring, well, it was a lot more. But the results of the added manure and fertilizer that was put into the garden during May 2026 was very evident now. It includes very prolific weed growth, but the plants are beating, the vegetables are beating the weeds, and actually providing a little bit of shade. Our gardeners have to get out there and fight the good fight, or it will get overrun. But the vegetables are outstanding. This manure and fertilizer should provide a 2 or 3 year boost to the garden soils, including increased organic matter. Should double the percentage that it was. It's expected to be 8%. It was 2 to 4. But I took a sample of my neighbor's garden soil, who's been putting in that manure that went into our garden from his cows, and he has 8% organic matter. So I expect a boost for quite a while from that, including, however, we need to tell our gardeners to put in some kind of form of liquid fertilizer for July and August at least once. We should probably do an email to them for that. And that was part of the soil analysis recommendations. So we'll also be having a meeting soon with our gardening subcommittee in early August, probably for planning our September harvest event, where we want to bring our gardeners together to enjoy the fruit of the labor. We haven't had any details exactly what we're going to be doing, but we'll get together and share what we have, share the bounty, and have some good food, I'm sure. So we'll have more details on that. And that's it for now. And by the way, I do want to talk about the Broadview Annex update when it's other business later on.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. I drove by there the other day. I was out on a mission for the commission, and I stopped and parked in the parking lot. There was a couple gardeners out there, and the plants were 7-8 feet tall. It looked really good. So,
Wow.
well done. Good job of the gardeners.
Absolutely. The vegetables are fantastic. They were little crinkled up messes after the heat waves, and they never caught on in my garden plot. But I now have Swiss chard. It's about 2.5 feet tall.
Wow.
I'm going to have it for the rest of the summer.
Wow.
It's great.
Kind of like zucchini, right? You have it for the rest of the summer. Personnel, that's me. Chairman Bazenga and I will get together end of August, 1st of September, because Beth is due for her annual review and Tammy is due for her first review, because you've never had one. So we'll get together, look for that coming in September. Cheryl, public outreach.
Yeah, well, as you know, as we heard from Beth, that is the fruit of public outreach. And Beth, really, kudos to Beth and to Linda, who is not here tonight. I'm sure she's baking, which I should be doing for the farmers market. But it was really outstanding. I mean, I've worked with promotional, your beautiful graphic posters. They were all around town. There's that visual as well. And as you can see, we have a very successful event because of that. And we are looking forward to the Dairy Farmers Market on August 12th. We're going to be meeting very, very soon for our strategy. We had some ideas for some more children-related things because there are families there and puppies and all kinds of fun participants. And at that meeting we'll begin. We're really going to focus on the August 12th and then start talking about Dairy Fest. So again, if any commissioners have any ideas, anything that's worked in the past, please feel free to send the email my way, and that way we can discuss it at the meeting. Thanks.
Thank you, Cheryl. TRCs, there were some scheduled, but we didn't have any purview over them, so I did not attend them. I haven't gotten any notices for this week or the next week, so I'll keep you posted when I do that. And I'll keep you posted as well, Beth.
Thank you.
State compliance, Eileen. What you got?
Okay, I just have one announcement, and that would be NHACC sent this out to, I think, all commissioners that have an email address with NHACC, if you've registered with them, about a Zoom meeting that DES is holding on wetlands rule changes. It will be at noon, 12 noon. It's just an hour meeting, but it will go over the wetlands rule changes that are being proposed, and it will allow input. I registered for that meeting. If you want to attend, you need to register. I sent the announcement to Beth, so you could maybe send it out to everybody. And there's a register button. You just press on it, and it's free. You know, you can register and attend that. So
You said it's noon. What's the date, Eileen?
it's Wednesday, June 15th. It's this Wednesday. Yep.
Oh, tomorrow.
I mean, July. I'm sorry, July. I wrote it down wrong. July 15th. Sorry about that.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Let's see, Mr. Bazanga's not here, property management. Bob is not here. Mr. Bazanga's not here. Val, reporting compliance.
Alrighty. All right, so going backwards here, Sam Hereford over at CELT and I were able to walk the Doolittle property. I may have covered this at the last, no, it was just before then. We did walk the property, things looked fine. One of the maps that he had, some of the trails looked like they may not have been up to date anymore, so that was something that we were talking about. And then, you know, we have maps and trails in the mine, so I said, you know, pass that along. And he's doing also Corneliuson. He and I did Corneliuson last year and it's due, so we were gonna schedule another date. I sent out an email to the reporting compliance team just to see if you guys wanted to coordinate on those dates. But I understand it's super busy work schedule. I was lucky enough for that one that I did go on where I wasn't working on that day, so. And then there's another one that he is referring to as the Hanson Caravetta property. I'd noticed that a few of the properties had some of our names were a little bit switched. So I was gonna compare some of the documents that they have, make sure that the properties were right, and then see what, you know, clarifying those corrections. So that's going on with CELT and those properties. Something that I was working with Bob, the Martin Farm property, the one that we did the 2025 makeup in March under 3 feet of snow. We did so we had a better monitoring walk. I was able to be accompanied by Bob. He's always a great resource. Everyone knows that. And then Sam over from Fish and Game. She has some great insight about some signage issues we had about the allowance of people. It's listed as no trespassing, but it has to do with harvest seasons and moving of cattle. So we're gonna work with them. We found out that Martin Farm was bought out by J&F a few years ago, so I'm supposed to contact Fernando, so I would love an updated contact. Maybe it's Melissa, Bob had said.
I would love an updated contact also. We'll work on that.
Oh, okay, yeah, awesome. But yeah, so I have a connection with Fish and Game. I have a draft going for a physical letter to go to the address, and then once we get possibly an email, that would be great, and she's gonna help me look that over, make sure things are tightened up in accordance with what's allowed in the deed. So that's all I have for reporting compliance.
Okay, thank you. Keep going with the Net Zero Task Force.
Net Zero, actually, we have not met since the last meeting. We will be meeting this upcoming Thursday, 6 p.m. on the second floor, if anyone would like to join us.
Okay. And our council liaison's not here, so we can skip over that. Brings us back to you, Beth.
Okay. Alrighty. All right, so the CWPP is in very good shape. So the draft that the core team that Val is on as well completed was sent out to the fire chief, the DPW director, planning board director, town administrator, fire department dispatch personnel, the IT GIS director, the DerryCAM director, and the Conservation Commission chair. And all of those parties have reviewed the draft and sent in a memo. So the next step is that the core team will review each of those memos and incorporate the suggestions. And then there will be another draft, sent out just to make sure, like, hey, these are the changes that we made per your memo. And then, get the okay from them. For our 2.0 draft, and then it should be very close to going to town council. With Broadview, as you may or may not know, I think we've talked about before, the deed covenant that was put in place when Broadview was purchased has expired. So Broadview, one of the ways that conservation properties can be protected is if they are purchased with conservation funds, then that provides sort of an automatic level of protection because it's purchased with conservation funds. That's what those funds are for. So they don't really want it to be purchased with conservation funds and then turned into something that's not conservation. So Broadview was actually not purchased with conservation funds. It was purchased using bond proceeds. So there is no protection currently on Broadview, besides you all sitting in these seats, preventing it from, becoming something other than conservation land. So the options for getting some conservation protection on it are renewing the deed covenant, which we can renew the deed covenant and not include an expiration date. And that would require, the town lawyer to write up a deed, a declaration of conservation restrictive covenants, or something that the lawyer would know specifically right about that. And then another option would be to place a conservation easement on the property through a qualified entity like SELT or LCHIP or Rockingham County Conservation District, which can be costly to do that because you have to pay those entities to do all the work involved in taking on a conservation easement. So in discussing this with Chairman Bazanga, he had asked me to write up a draft of what a new deed covenant might look like, because that seemed to be the most straightforward way. And so we're presenting that to you tonight just as a just for you to take under advisement, to look at. And so I'll pass these. I have 3 copies of it. And if you would like, I can email everyone a copy. And that is that. So you can take a look at it now if you would like. And then we'll discuss that at a future meeting.
Did you happen to take the old covenant and look at it first, or you just, yes?
So what's here is a combination, I guess, of Barbara Richter with the NHACC, who was the one also helping us with the BioBlitz, right? So she provided us some samples of other deed covenants, or deed restrictions, and I took those and our existing deed covenant and just sort of morphed them into this document here, which is, I'm not a lawyer, obviously, so, this would need to be thoroughly reviewed by the town lawyer, but this is just to give you a rough idea of what a deed covenant might look like.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit unfamiliar. So, so this is
no. Can I
basically
have a
like
copy of it
an
just so that I
example
can
of a draft of a deed, or is this the status? So in other words, is it expired at this point?
It's expired at this point,
When?
correct.
How long has it been expired?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I want to say like 3 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can I just ask, is there like a formal status of the property during a time of expiration during that time? Is there a formal status, or it's just sort of floating?
It's just sort of floating, exactly.
Okay.
Like it's still conservation land because it is in practice conservation land. It's
Okay.
just that, say, all of you who are currently on this commission now, leave, and other people join the commission who decide we would like to turn Broadview into condominiums. That could feasibly happen in the future if
Okay.
the people in your seat.
From a legal standpoint.
Exactly.
Which is why now, because you have this commission, you want to act on it. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for clarifying.
You're very welcome.
Yep.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, currently, there's no protections on it.
Yeah.
It's
we
not
need to get this
conservationally protected.
I see.
Unless we have the covenant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it typical that our other conservation properties are under sort of a more temporary 25-year covenants, or there's like a variation of those that are
There's a
more permanent?
huge- there's actually a huge
And as you say, if
variation.
the funds were used, then that's a protection right there.
Yep. Yeah, there's a huge variation, but a lot of our properties are protected by a conservation easement, which is that legal document that says, and the conservation easement is the most ironclad of the ways that you can
Right.
protect a property, because it's a legal document that its whole purpose for existing is we want to make sure that this is conservation property forever, and we've laid out very specifically, here's what you may use this property for, and here's what you may not use this property for. And it's very hard legally to undo that.
And is that tied to the deed of the property typically?
It is, yeah, in
Okay, that's what makes
perpetuity.
it,
Yeah.
right, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, again, thanks for asking.
Well, you have been going through all that, right? You have been going through and checking the easements and
Oh, yeah.
covenants and all of that. So this is how these come up.
Exactly.
That's good.
So
Yeah,
thank you.
one by one file at a time, right?
Thank you, Beth.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I noticed the terms are very general. That way, I
Yep.
assume allows more flexibility. If you get too specific and then there's a change in the future, you can
Yep.
be hung out to dry.
And it's all up to you all, right? I mean, like, I've kept it general because, I sort of see that as my purview is to keep it general, and your purview is to add the details that you find are important or should be there. So it's not to say that it has to stay general. That's just how I've chosen to write it, so that to offer you all flexibility.
And if I want to ask one more, is there a time frame that you anticipate that this might be enacted action in terms of following through on an easement? Is there a
Yeah.
time frame that you're thinking?
Good question. So this is, I guess we're providing it to you now so that you can take it under advisement. You have the opportunity to look at it, and then I believe the plan, Chairman Bazanga's plan is to bring it up at a later meeting to bring it to a vote.
Okay.
To actually say, so that you all can vote and say, yes, we want to bring this to the town lawyer to have this, officially enacted. And then I imagine that's not going to be just a one and done process either. That will be a bit of a back and forth process to get the wording right and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Does this include both properties, 8 and 10 Young
It does.
Road?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and those are called out as the different lots. And the two lots are actually recorded in the same deed.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
That's nice.
yep. And I
Thank
know
you for
that's
your
a big
diligent
one.
attention to that. That's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah.
Thank you for your diligent attention to that.
Any other, well, yeah, I have to say thank you, Mark Fleischer in the finance department, because he has a spreadsheet that he has shared with me that has is rich with information on these properties, and that has been mainly what I've been referencing, that and a book that he and Margie Ives put together that's just sort of like a shorthand for, what is the deal with all these properties. So thank you to those two people and the work that they've done in the past to help make this easier now. I know that's a big one, so are there any other questions before I move on?
Was this the one you worked on the agricultural lease for? Or was
It
that
is.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, at Broadview. Yeah. Okay. Is that, gotta find my place. Okay. So continuing with Broadview. So last meeting, we spoke about the no trespassing signs that were going to be removed, and we called out on the map which ones were going to be removed. So those have been removed, and we have them, and a letter has been sent to the landowner to let them know they can retrieve them before December 15th, 2026. And something for you all to vote on. So a Cub Scout troop, Troop 402, reached out about using the campsite at Broadview so they're Cub Scouts, right? So the age range is, I believe, like 6 to like 9 sort of range, right? So
Cubs, yeah.
Yeah, so they would like to have an overnight camping trip at Broadview on this Saturday, actually. And so since there was a meeting scheduled, Chairman Bazenga said you all should vote on it. So.
Do you have the troop number?
402?
Troop 402.
402? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the use of campsite at Broadview for the Troop 402 Cub Scouts for this Saturday.
Second motion.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I would like to just throw a thought out there. That is the day that we are doing stuff at Broadview.
We are doing stuff at Ball Farm now.
Ball Farm.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. But actually, I did note that in the calendar. Yeah, when we, and I thought, oh, that'd be kind of nice if we're, you know what I mean, if we're doing stuff at the same time. But now we're doing it at Ball property.
You're right. It was just,
Yeah.
sorry, my bad.
No worries.
No discussion.
Okay, on the motion, any further discussion?
Oh, I do have one thing to add, just so you all know. In our, when we responded to them, Chairman Bazenga had asked if we could ask them for permission to use their photos in our social media, and for them, there's a very small amount of trash in the area. Broadview is actually pretty clean, which is very encouraging. But just for them to, of course, carry in, carry out, but to also pick up the trash that is in the area.
On the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, it's unanimous. Thank you. You'll let them know, right?
Yes.
Is there a form they have to sign, or is that, no?
There hasn't been in the
Hasn't been?
past.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious.
No.
All set?
All right. Thank you. So next. Just some correspondence that we got from the Natural Heritage Bureau. They reached out about collecting some seed from an endangered species of milkweed called Asclepias quadrifolia, or four-leafed milkweed. And there are known populations of this endangered milkweed at Colette's Mountain Conservation Land. So we've let them know that they can move forward and collect seeds for that in the fall. And just a PSA about the logging on Kilray Road. So we did receive several, concerned emails about the logging at Kilray Road. It does abut the Margaret Ives Conservation property, but it is not the Margaret Ives Conservation property. It's privately owned land, the area that is being logged. And we did reach out to the state forester, and she did pay a visit there and, to check everything out to make sure that they're not encroaching. And so, as far as we are aware through those avenues, there's been no encroachment on conservation land, and the logging is being done by the books. And so that is that. We had someone reach out and we spoke about turtle signs at our last meeting. So I did get in touch with a couple of people over at New Hampshire DOT. They informed me that the studies have shown that signage is not an effective way of reducing the number of like turtle vehicle collisions, and so that's not something that they support because the research does not support that. They also looked at the specific culvert of the crossing that the resident raised, was a concern on Hampstead Road, and the culvert was updated in 2016, and it has a lifespan of 30 years. And because it's prime wetland on both sides, it's actually not eligible to be updated or, sized up ahead of schedule. So we're unfortunately not able to do anything about that at this time. He did give a list of here's what you can do, to help the turtle populations. And it's all the things that you all are doing, which is, volunteer with your local conservation commission and raise public awareness about, about these things. So we're basically right now we're doing all that we can. And I did reach out to the resident who had initially reached out with concern, and give her the list of conservation activities that we were given by New Hampshire DOT, and let her know that we have future events coming up if she would ever like to volunteer, and she's very interested in doing that. So and then I just wanted to give you all the Land Maintenance Committee schedule coming up, just so that you know what events are coming up, if there's any that you can join us for. So our most upcoming one is this Saturday, July 18th. We are going to be doing trail work at the Ball Farm property, which is, that trail connects to the Corneliuson property. So the Corneliuson property is where we did trail work last year. And so it'll just be a nice continuation of that. And that will be from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, July 18th. It's going to be just light trail work, so no heavy equipment, just just like a folding handsaw and a pair of loppers and some work clothes and gloves is all you need to participate in that.
So should we bring loppers if we have them?
Absolutely, yeah. And an email will go out this evening to all of the people who either attended or signed up for the Bio Blitz at Broadview, to invite them as well. And then Paul Mahone, who is with the Greater Derry Track Club and who has been volunteering on the Land Maintenance Committee, has reached out to some members of the Greater Derry Track Club as well, to get them to attend. And he said he's got some people so far. So that's July 18th. And then August 22nd, we'll be updating the Broadview kiosk. So, we'll have a visioning session and figure out what is going to go on there. But then August 22nd, we'll actually be on site making that happen. So that would be a fun time to come around for some camaraderie. And then September 18th, I already mentioned, but I'll mention again because why not? The hike at Broadview at 4 p.m., right? So we'll just keep reiterating that.
Beth, what time will the August 22nd?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's 9 a.m.
9 a.m., okay.
Yep, and then September 18th is 4 p.m. And then the last item that I have for you all is a question about maintenance at Broadview and Shepherd, the fields there, right? So Eileen, you had reached out about requesting to stop mowing the middle pathway at Broadview. At Broadview, because of the bobolinks nesting. And if you want to explain it, you can, kind of paraphrasing
I went on a couple of birding trips with Matt Tarr out at Broadview, and it was the UNH birding program. And he made very specific recommendations for Broadview, including not mowing that middle trail, and the reason being, it introduces predators for the bobolinks and other grassland birds. It's a perfect way for like a fox or a raccoon or any land type of predator to get in there and get these baby birds, because the bobolink nests on the bottom of the grass. Okay, so they're totally vulnerable, and they're not the kind of bird that's on their feet right away when they're hatched. They're very vulnerable for a couple of weeks, so they're easy pickings for lunch. So he thought the best way to kind of close up that middle trail would be just don't mow it and just let it come back on its own, in terms of like not having a trail there anymore, and just have the other trails that are existing. He made that recommendation. He also made recommendations for bittersweet that we found during those trips. We decided that, in looking at the sides of the property where we have so much overgrowth of bittersweet and other things, that it would just be extremely costly to tackle those because they're just so overgrown. It's years of growth. But on the field itself, there's spots where there's just small amounts of bittersweet that could be tackled by our land maintenance group. And we should, he recommended that we get out there now and get that before it becomes a real problem, before you'd have to introduce machinery like a brush hog or something like that to tackle it. We could probably just pull it right now and tackle it that way, or dig it out. But he's stressed to me that we better get on this like right now, before it becomes a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Great. We need all the help we can get. Bittersweet's are nasty, invasive. That's very tough to control.
Yeah. So, so the bittersweet would be, we will talk about that in the land maintenance committee, and I think that we might actually already have some volunteers that might be able to help with that on a day. Yeah.
Okay.
But as far as the mowing goes, so I reached out to the director of Parks and Recreation, with that request basically, and she enlighten me as to the logistics of that, right? So if they were to stop mowing and maintaining that center walking path, which is frequently used by the community, she made sure to note, they wanted us to know that they would not be able to go back to mowing it at a future time. So I thought since this is sort of a decision that we can't unmake very easly, that it would merit a discussion and a vote by the commission. So basically, her email just basically says that, is that if we were to refrain from mowing and maintaining that center walking path, please know that we will not go back to mowing it in the future. And then she kind of lists some of the reasons: the long grass, the ticks, the wildlife, potential rocks, and things like that. So logistically, it just would be a decision that,
Right, everybody needs to weigh in on. I just might mention too, for those of you who are not familiar with Matt Tarr, he has a PhD in wildlife biology. He's a wildlife professor at UNH. He has umpteen years of experience, decades of experience in managing wildlife. And he did make those recommendations.
Yeah. And she did mention actually, or I asked her, would a write-up from Matt be helpful,
I asked him for a write-up, and he deferred and said, I've given you write-ups.
Sure.
He wrote a very extensive report in 1998, and he wrote another report more recently in, I think it was 2019.
Perfect. So we have those.
We actually have
we
on the
have
record.
those. Yep.
And he said, I just don't, have the time or there's certain duties he has at UNH Extension that would not allow him the time to be able to write yet another report. But he asked me to please relay these concerns that he had and recommendations, so I am relaying them to you.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a matter of access for DPW's equipment, are we open to paying someone else to mow the perimeter path?
Well, they would continue to mow the perimeter path, so it's, yep,
We're
so
just talking
Derry,
about the
so
center
Derry
path.
Parks and
Just the
Rec.
center
The
path.
path that would make, if we leave that path open, we're allowing predators in to attack the grassland birds that nest, during the summer, so.
But if that's closed, to me, sorry, I guess
okay.
my misunderstanding was, it sounded like if we decided to close, not mow that path, that DPW wouldn't be able to mow there anymore because of access issues.
They just wouldn't mow that central path.
Just that section.
And that-
So right now, there are paths that go around the whole perimeter,
Yeah.
and there's a path that goes in the center. So they're just saying that if they stopped mowing the center path, then they wouldn't mow the center path again in the future. They would just mow the perimeter.
Right.
I
and
misunderstood that.
And I do
also
have
want to
that.
mention that, when we first acquired Broadview and we started making trails and paths, we did not have a central path. That path is relatively new. When I say relatively new, maybe 5 years old, maybe 6 years old. It's something DPW thought it might be a good idea, so they just thought they were helping and they just went ahead and did it. But it's not something we had originally. We always had a circumference type path that went around the sides, a loop, if you will, so.
I know it is an enjoyable, it's right in the middle of the field, you're going right through the center, it's nice, fox, deer and stuff run through, but if it's protecting the natural habitat and it's still accessible to the public, I know some parts, if you go down and to the right, they can be a little wet and there's that one spot, but roughly, I think, you're still able to use the land, you're still able to walk around, access the camp. Yeah, you can't beeline it straight down the middle, but I don't see an issue with not mowing, especially if they're already like, yeah, we won't, you don't want us to mow it now, we won't mow it again.
Yeah,
Preserve that long
one of
term.
the things also that Matt said was, and he wanted this relayed to all of you, it's all about what are you going to manage Broadview for? Are you managing it for wildlife protection? Is that a value that you are promoting with this piece of land? And if so, the recommendation of not having that middle path is very important. So just something to think about.
Anybody else? Are you looking for a motion?
I would say, yeah, if we're gonna change what, I would say if we're not changing it, then no motion is needed. But if it sounds like you all want to change what we're doing, or what Parks and Rec is currently doing, then a motion would be good.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear, I don't know, Jay, with being at the community garden and stuff, do you have any insight? I don't know, you're there a little bit more frequently, maybe the gardeners, I don't know, in terms of,
It's around the corner from that central area, and it's kind of in its own separate space, so I don't have much input
Right.
except as walking through it myself. I think that central path could be eliminated. It would have no impact because there's a loop around. That's just fine.
yeah. Do you have the email from Matt Tarr? I mean, was it Steven? No, from Moosewood Ecological, all those species identified where you said, are we, like, what are we protecting
Right,
here?
what are we managing Broadview for? And the BioBlitz really kind of solidified with documentation and data how many species we've got, what a diverse piece of property the Broadview is in terms of wildlife diversity. So I guess for myself, I'm just going to say I think it's worthy of protecting wildlife, and that's just my personal view on it.
If there's an appetite to change what we asked Parks and Rec to mow, I would entertain a motion at the time.
I will also say that we do have that letter from Matt Tarr from January 2020. If you all would like time, to review that, I can send that to everybody too, if that's the preference, just letting you know that that's available to you.
And Beth, could you look for, he mentioned a report from 1998.
Sure.
I don't have the copy of that myself, but It would be nice if
I think that
could
I've
be-
seen that in the file, yes.
Okay,
I do
if that
think
could
that
be
we have
shared
that.
with the commissioners, that would be helpful as well.
In that vein, when is it next scheduled to be mowed?
I don't know the answer to that
Yeah, that would be
question.
important to know.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
important to know.
So if
Yeah.
we want to wait until August to see that letter and everybody think about it individually,
Oh, I would say it's definitely mowed on a pretty frequent
Oh, it
occurrence.
is?
Like
So
I would say.
Pretty soon they might mow it again?
Yeah, it's gotta be weekly, if not bi-weekly, because they keep it pretty short, pretty well maintained. So they're there pretty frequently. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not talking about like the big like brush hog mowing that they do over the whole field.
Regular
but
close cut
this
mowing.
is something that they're doing frequently. Yeah.
okay. Anybody?
Just some discussion, if this is something that we would, read the letter, we come back, decide to change. I think it's also something that would warrant posting in the kiosk and stuff too, just to make sure
Yes.
regulars who know, and again, this is hypothetical.
Right, just
but
educate
it's something
the
to
public.
consider that it's a popular property. We
Yeah.
gotta make sure it's,
Yeah,
whatever
I
the
would.
decision is.
I would definitely anticipate people reaching out, asking why it's not being mowed.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
If that is the decision that you all make, yeah.
Well, Eileen's provided the justification, I
Sure.
believe.
Yep.
So there's our answer.
Yep.
The BioBlitz strengthened that
Yeah.
with
Actual
the
data.
diversity
Yep.
of wildlife that we have there, not only, 543, but there's some that are, I don't want to say endangered, but they're in very few places, and Broadview happens to be one of them, according to the report we got. So I think might be a good decision to not mow that.
Yeah.
My personal opinion, anyway. But I'll leave it up to the commission to.
And if anybody has any questions, we can use it as a good opportunity for public education about why we
Yeah,
are
right.
mowing as well.
We could use our Facebook, Cheryl.
And for our
to-
social media, maybe a little explanation. Is this
promote.
something that would be in the kiosk or like an informational?
Not just
Yeah,
the kiosk.
100%,
Yeah,
yeah.
so we can
put it on
maybe employ
Facebook.
all of those things and, yeah.
Definitely.
Yep.
I mean, I would support a motion even without the time reading Matt Tar's email. I feel like, yes, between the information that we got from the BioBlitz, and I know, Eileen, you've done birding walks with him before and you've had experience there. I would put that forward without Matt Tar's letter specifically in review.
Anybody got something crafted, or you want me to wing it?
And I can,
I'll make a
I-
motion. I'd like to make a motion that we discontinue mowing the middle central path at Broadview Farm for wildlife protection.
I would say, yeah.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Pam. Okay, I'm going to call a roll. Chris?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Eileen?
Yes.
Val?
Yes.
Pam? Yes. And the chair votes yes. So if you can relay that message, thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Anything else for you?
That is my last note.
Okay.
Thank you.
Upcoming meetings, our next scheduled meeting, August 17th, 2026, 7 o'clock. Further meeting dates we have proposed, September 21st. Then October, we go back to 2 a month, October 5th, October 19th. Commissioners, any other business?
Yes, I'd like to go over something that I sent out to the commissioners just before the meeting today, a report on the Young Road Broadview Annex. I wanted to update my observations just to backtrack a little and inform. We had a environmental study conducted in October 2025, and the recommendations were that we further study the hydrology of the property in order to determine if 3 areas were confirmed as vernal pools. They remained on the map as potential vernal pools. So I have been engaging in trying to get into the property weekly since the snow was starting to melt, making my observations informally, and then also I created a log on my phone, and I'm translating that to an Excel spreadsheet, so that I'm going to be posting to a MS Teams site that Beth provided access to for me. And so far what I'm seeing for a general hydrology pattern is that there's this area is about 4.5 acres. It borders Hampstead Road, the East Derry Fire Department on the south border, and the north border is Young Road, opposite of the parking lot area. So the middle sections of that southern border, there's a PVP, potential vernal pool, that was identified. It seems to be the main source of water runoff that is pretty regular and persistent. So this is running off into an area of marshy grass called canary reed grass. This area is also holding water persistently. I'm not sure whether it's moving water or still, but I'll explain further and get back to that. So after a rain, there are two channels that seem to be there naturally, or they were dug. I don't know. They're just persistent in the environment now. They run south to north from that water source, and then one splits to the northwest, and there's a potential vernal pool there right on Young Road. And that seems to have a behavior where it runs for 3 to 10 days, depending on the time of the season and how much water saturation, but consistently after that period of time, it's dried up, the soil may be moist. So that behavior, it's not to say that in future years that the weather patterns may change, and it may be able to support amphibians and other vernal pool habitat. So this is all a slow, long study, so there's no rush to anything. So starting in mid-June, the vegetation started to really grow, and it's really become too long to even venture into there without jungle boots and a machete and a pit helmet. And I haven't been willing to do that yet. I got my garden. But I can tell you that to the west of that marshy grass area, there's ferns, goldenrod, and I was seeing before they grew up out of sight a beautiful poison ivy field. I mean, it was very extensive. So I'm not sure how tall it's grown. So that's all on the western side of the canary reed grass area. So Beth and I approached her talking about, trying to create a path to get access. And Beth, pretty much shut me down for the rest of the season. The available equipment right now, although Derry does have the big tractors, but right now the regular lawn mowing maintenance that's going on, there's just no way it's going to touch that. And I took my shears and hacked in a few feet, and it's very thick. So we're not going to get in there, but what we need to do is think about the fall and plotting a path in there. And it's, as long as the environment is dry, and it should be because it was last year, it's totally permissible by the wetland rules to mow paths. So what we need to do is study this further over time and then consider a fall, how we would do a fall mowing. We're talking about staking out roughly staking out and then mowing it through and then staking out on the other side of the path that we're designating for the future for the next spring, 2027, so the town can mow that as needed. So what I ask and I'm proposing is a formation of a subcommittee for the management of this Young Road Broadview Annex holding. I need to have more of a consensus on actions to be taken. I don't want to do this all by myself. I don't mind, but I think the commission will benefit from having other commissioners involved. So I would like to do that. By the way, I did during the BioBlitz get an answer to a question I had. How is that, as the report said, how's that area going to eventually become woods? Because it was recommended to let the land go and become woodland someday. How did that actually happen? Well, we walked to a older marsh that was drying up in the other side of the northern side of the Broadview holding, and there was a red maple there in the middle, and the biologist mentioned that's pioneering, and so I asked him, how does that apply to the area that's right so wet right now? It doesn't seem it could handle any kind of tree life. But he said that actually the red maple will take hold and has the ability to, much more than herbaceous plants, suck up the moisture. So it helps to, change the nature of the land, the marshland. So that's it, and I'm requesting that we do a proposal for a subcommittee. I don't know if we can do it in this meeting, if Buzanga should be involved, but I'd like to see that before August, September, so we can plan on the mowing.
Any members interested in serving on this committee?
I'd be very interested, Jay.
Okay. Anybody else? Chris?
Yeah, I would like
Okay.
to.
Okay. Then I would need a motion to establish another subcommittee dedicated to the Broadview Farm Annex and its management. Is that what you're looking for, Jay? The subcommittee, you want it to be dedicated to managing the Broadview Farm Annex?
Yes, management does a draft management plan already created that kind of covers broad aspects of what it would take.
Someone want to make the motion?
Move to create a subcommittee to manage the Broadview Farm Annex.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Val. Any further discussion? We already have volunteer members, so I'm going to take a roll from my right. Chris?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Eileen?
Yes.
Val?
Yes.
Pam?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. So we'll make that, I guess, under property maintenance, property management, Val? Add that.
Add that under
Jay-
property.
Under the property management, it's another committee. Jay is the chair, and Eileen and Chris,
Oh, I see what you're
subcommittee
saying.
members.
I thought you meant like a
No, not
subcommittee
under.
under the subcommittee.
paper, under.
Okay, yes, okay.
On the paper under. All right. Any other business? We do have someone in the audience that wants to speak tonight. Come on up. Come right up. Sit in the chair. Under the mic, there's a button. Make sure the light's green. Yep. On the stem, there's a button. Beth's going to help.
It messes with us every time, too.
Yep. Just your name and address, and then go ahead.
Hello, my name is Andrew Higgins. I live at 1 Ballard View Circle, Derry, New Hampshire. I have it written on my phone, if that's okay. So, hello everyone. I'd like to thank you all for having me today and working to protect and conserve New Hampshire, and I'm very thankful. As I said, my name's Andrew Higgins. I am a junior in college pursuing a bachelor's in psychology, and I've been a resident of Derry, New Hampshire for my entire life. As we know, New Hampshire is the second most forested state in America, as well, in my opinion, it's the most beautiful state. There's a good reason people travel here to see our foliage, and I couldn't imagine myself living anywhere else. But over the years, and especially this year in Derry, New Hampshire, I've watched the slow encroachment of two of the most invasive plants in the world, and especially in New England. Japanese knotweed and oriental bittersweet, especially on easements in downtown Derry, especially on new property that's being built in Derry. Japanese, and I believe that the average person may think that these invasives don't only pose an ecological threat, but that would be wrong, because Japanese knotweed and oriental bittersweet are serious threats to our real estate, and Japanese knotweed can reduce property values by up to 20%, and with even higher losses reported in severe infestations. For example, this would cause a $500,000 property to only be worth $400,000. Japanese knotweed is one of the most aggressive invasives in the world, growing up to 10 feet vertically and 65 feet underground in a single season. It doesn't just displace wildlife, it also starves animals, and it grows into our homes because it spreads via both seed and rhizomes. So it can grow through lawn tarp, wood flooring, and it can even grow through concrete after the inevitable freezing and thawing after winter. So if you look at the new housings being constructed on Island Pond Road, you'll notice there's a lot of knotweed thickets that have actually formed, not just in the two houses that are being constructed there, but also in the backyards of the people that are near it. It went its way up to the automotive shop, and also moved up to my house. So it's in just 1 year, it's grown to already my house, which is like over 2 miles of spread, and in 4 months, it's already reached 7 feet. And the way it's being mowed now is it disperses it even further to other people. It's being cut down using regular mowing equipment, and Japanese knotweed's known to grow back from just a piece as big as one's fingernail, and when these pieces are flung about, this is what's causing it to find new places to infest faster. And Oriental bittersweet, on the other hand, is a parasitic vine, and it's unlike the native Virginia creeper, which is it aggressively girdles the host trees that it's under. It's similar to kudzu, which is the vine that swallowed the south, and it's actually known to be more of a more serious threat to wildlife and the lumber industry than kudzu, even though it's more famous. It has no natural predators, and with an action, it could spread readily to dim lit forests and conservation areas, because it does not need light in its germination. And so it's out of the deep love for my state that I'd humbly ask the Conservation Commission to adopt and forward a resolution recommending state legislation to address the threat Japanese knotweed and Oriental bittersweet poses to the Derry town poses to not just Derry but also the entire state of New Hampshire. And it's to keep New Hampshire beautiful and secure the state's future as a place of economic, domestic, and cultural prosperity. And I believe that New Hampshire lawmakers must be made aware of this issue impacting every one of us, and they must be ready to make this change and go ahead with action. And I would like to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any questions? Hang on.
Could I make a comment?
Yeah.
So you're asking for a statewide ordinance? Is that what you're asking for?
RSA 43055. I got it pulled up.
We've already got, yeah, the state has an invasive species ordinance already, administrative code, under New Hampshire RSA 430, verse 55, and AGR 3800 for Oriental bittersweet and Japanese knotweed. They're classified as prohibited invasive species in New Hampshire, and it's illegal to collect. Your phone just went off.
Oh.
I'm just reading the terminology here. It's illegal to collect, transport, sell, distribute, propagate, or transplant any living viable portion of these plants. And we do, the Derry Conservation Commission cites that on any kind of site plans that we receive for our review. We make sure that's mandatory, that that's put on those site plans that are filed with the deed for properties for approved site plans. It's a very serious issue. It's really excellent that you are before us and bringing that to our attention. I know that there's a gentleman with the New Hampshire Pesticide Bureau. You know, in the Pesticide Bureau, there's a special branch that's dedicated to invasive species, and his name is Doug. And if you were to contact him, I'm sure he could recommend appropriate measures to take to improve your property and to get rid of the Japanese knotweed and the Oriental bittersweet. He's done a phenomenal job on formulating guidebooks for the public, and Beth has a bunch of copies of those that she could share with you. I think that's, you know, the guidebooks are really excellent. They have pictures of all the invasive species that we come across in New Hampshire, as well as methods to eradicate them. But I really appreciate your, you know, the background you provided us and the statistics you provided us. I think that's really excellent. And I would encourage you to get more information, get a hold of that guidebook and contact Doug at the Pesticide Bureau Invasive Species Branch and get more information.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Anybody
Don't
else?
give up the fight.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andy. Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, this just feels like something that would be great to bring up at the Land Maintenance Committee. I mean, I know we don't focus on necessarily town in general, but conservation properties, and some of them do have it, a lot of them do abut residents, and I think...
I said earlier, Broadview, we have a real problem with Oriental bittersweet, you know, especially on the perimeter. It is so, like you said, girdle trees to the point where we can't really, the only way, Matt Tarr said we could tackle that on the perimeters would be if we were to entertain the use of chemical management, which I'm not in favor, personally, I'm not in favor of that, because I've seen chemical management of Oriental bittersweet and other invasives, and what it does is not selective. It kills everything. And so you would really be destroying otherwise rich wildlife habitat if you chose that method.
I would like to just say too, before you leave, that I can provide you one of those
have one.
handbooks. Oh, you have one. Perfect.
perfect.
I'll replace yours, Val. Okay, let me give it to him.
And Doug's contact information is on the back of that
Perfect,
booklet.
thank you.
Okay.
But in areas that we can identify that maybe aren't as bad, that need chemical treatment, I'm sure that outlines some way that we can manage it, I'm sure.
It has to be pulled up if you're not going to
Well,
come.
I went, just to give you some background.
Yeah.
I attended, with the support of this commission, I want to say it was probably 5 or more years ago now, but I attended the UNH Invasive Species Academy. They had a couple of days of dedicated coursework on invasive species, and including a field trip that we went out to. It was in Canterbury. No, it was in Enfield, I'm sorry. You know, adjacent to where the Shaker property was. And Fish and Game had done some, with a licensed pesticide applicator. They had done some chemical treatment of an area for removal of Oriental bittersweet and other invasives. And I'm telling you, it looked like a desert. Everything had been killed, not just selective management of those species. Just a real broad acreage that just was completely dead. To me, it was horrifying. Personally, I'm not in favor of that.
So
Maybe other
can I
people
ask,
are.
Eileen, in reference to what you were speaking about before, this maybe gentleman's sharing here kind of underscores what you brought up about removing, you're saying in the center, the bittersweet that can be removed.
Yes, we can do that, yes.
Because it sounds like in that perimeter area, like
It's
the
manageable.
prognosis is that it's sort of a lost battle
In
and
the-
that will be the species there.
Right, unless,
But to prevent further encroachment,
right.
so that sounds like it becomes more imminent.
Yeah, the
solution there.
the center of our field has some small, some small areas of bittersweet that can be pulled, that can be managed without a lot of, expense and difficulty. And Matt Tarr had said, let's get on this right away. If we get on it right away, we can stay ahead of it. As for the sides, where unfortunately bittersweet has taken hold to enormous proportions, the only way that you would be able to tackle that would be either to, it's even beyond like getting a brontosaurus out there to just mow down everything, or doing chemical management, which he mentioned also, is that if you were to do chemical management, you would have to do it again and again and again, and it's very expensive.
So this measure that you were bringing up, like of pulling these small, I mean, is that's something you would recommend now, and would that be like an afternoon? And it just sounds like something worthy moving on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So
If we get started now, we can make a dent
Do you
in
think
it.
like an afternoon, or do you have an idea?
It would be probably, I don't know, I think maybe 3 or 4 hours of work, maybe.
It depends how many hands there were. making-
depending
making
on
like
how
the
many
work.
people we
Yeah.
had pulling, but yeah, we could make a half of an afternoon of it, I'm sure, with a bunch of people, yeah.
And I wanted to say to you also that part of our practice is if somebody reaches out, about something like this, that, you're welcome to volunteer at an event like that.
We'd love
and if
your
you
help.
would like,
We would love your
I
help.
have your email. So if you'd like, I can add you to, our list of people that we reach out to when we have events and things like that.
That would be perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you coming forward.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Andrew.
Definitely going to want to discuss that at the next land maintenance meeting, for sure.
Okay,
Next land maintenance meeting.
we have a few things to discuss in non-public, so who would like to make that motion?
Looks like Christopher does.
Yep, I'd like to push for a motion to enter non-public.
Second?
Wait, you have to cite the RSA.
Oh, sorry.
Right on.
In compliance, RSA 91A3, Section 1,
For the purpose
Section 2?
of
entering a...
land acquisitions.
Yes.
Okay.
A second, the motion.
Seconded by Cheryl. Okay, starting with Chris.
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
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 Okay. You're allowed to come in, you're now an alternate, so.
I'm allowed to stay.
Yep. Motion to invite Beth into the non-public, please.
I'd like to also push the motion to invite Beth to a non-public meeting.
Second?
Okay, starting on my right, Chris,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Eileen,
Yes.
Val.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for
Okay, we're in non-public.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. Have a good
Thank you.
night.
Thank you. Have a good one.